As you see, my Jedi powers are far beyond yours.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another great day in the hobby. It is DCI Podcast, episode number 25. I am Jason Dardick here with Big Sexy Bradley Crenshaw. We are back at DCI HQ for another week. Exciting, a bunch of exciting stuff happening here at the office. We have just finished our Dallas card show, an awesome local show that we do well at every single time. That was another great event that we just had, took place in Dallas. Tons of submissions coming in the door for our SLABS. That is $18 a card, only available at DCIgrading.com right now. $10 RCRs. We made that announcement on the last podcast. Those have steadily been coming in as well. So guys, go ahead and keep sending in those cards. We really appreciate it. But those are the main two things kind of, card-wise at DCI as far as our services go. Nothing changed since last podcast, but those cards have been coming in both at shows and in the office for RCRs and the SLAB submissions. So we really appreciate that.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you. Keep sending those in.
Yep.
Couple things in the sports world we've got coming up in the next week or so is the kickoff of the 2022 World Cup in Qatar. First of all, any interest in a World Cup? Where does that range? I know you're not a huge soccer guy, but is that up there in terms of bucket list to go to an event? Like, would you like to go to a World Cup game or a final or something like that?
If somebody gave me tickets, I'd go.
Absolutely.
But am I going to purchase tickets to go? No, that's just not something that I enjoy watching. I don't understand the game. I understand that you're supposed to kick the ball and get in the net and you get a point. But outside of that, I mean, I don't understand all the rules and the fouls and all that other stuff. And to be quite honest, watching it is extremely boring.
I agree,
It's
especially
kind
on
of
TV.
like watching baseball on television. It's extremely boring.
So, and that's the thing is where, kind of like baseball, you go to the stadium and it's great, right? There's nothing better than having a hot dog and a beer at a baseball game.
Yeah.
When you go to these soccer games, and I've never been to one, I'd like to check out our local MLS
We got one
team.
right across the freeway right here.
We need to get to an FC Dallas game at some point because I've heard they are a blast. But World Cup in particular, you get so much of that national pride and people who travel literally hundreds and thousands of miles to go and watch their national team play. I think that'd be cool. And obviously Qatar is really hard to get to, and I don't think the infrastructure is necessarily there for a ton of people to travel to this World Cup, but that would be certainly, I think, something to be cool eventually. And I know they have a World Cup coming to the United States in 4 years, so that'll be something to look forward to. But I think a World Cup match would be something is up there on my sports bucket list to go and do sometime. But without further ado, the World Cup starts this Sunday in Qatar. Kind of in preparation for that, Panini released World Cup Prism 2022. What should people know about World Cup sets, rather, in general, or, maybe a special event set that only comes out once every 4 years or is made for something like the World Cup? Do those sets, in your opinion, tend to hold value after that event is over? Or is that something that, maybe be weary of, hey, we've got a new event, we're going to push some new product on you in the market, like maybe steer clear of Prism World Cup?
I don't think so. I think the Prism set itself holds value over the years anyway.
Yeah.
Whether that's an additional set. They used to do the traded sets. I don't even know if they still do a lot of that stuff anymore. So the update sets, they still do those for like baseball. So adding in those extra sets like that along the way, I think is great, and I still believe it's a Prism brand, so it still holds the value.
What's been interesting to see the last, during the last couple of years, soccer in general has really, really grown. Like the market for soccer in trading cards has grown exponentially over the last couple of years, but the two mainstays that you'll always hear kind of whether the soccer market's up or down are Ronaldo and Messi. Mm-hmm. And both of them have product. They both have autographs in this new World Cup product. Is that something that you think these they all, I guess what I'm getting at is they also had autographs in previous World Cup products. The later World Cups in their careers, will those autographs tend to hold value like the earlier World Cups will?
I believe so with those guys, just because they don't sign very much.
Right.
I mean, their signatures are really limited in a lot of products, and they're very, very hard to hit. So, yes, those guys, 100%. I mean, think about it right now. I mean, if the Tom Brady's being pulled out of, the 2022, flawless products and things along those lines, people still go crazy over those.
Oh, yeah.
And he's been in the league for 22 plus years.
Right.
And his early on card auto stuff is still an extremely valuable, card as well.
Absolutely.
But when you look at Ronaldo and Messi and those types of guys, they're on the same caliber of the GOAT status as like a Tom Brady, Michael Jordan type deal. So,
yeah, that's interesting. So that you can also in this World Cup set, I guess, you can prospect your rookies for your nationality, your country, but also kind of chase the gold prisms, like you said, the prism brand of those big guys, the legends, the Ronaldos, the Messis, gold prism, stuff like that. Something that they put in as well that we saw in football is the manga insert. I don't know if you've seen any of the soccer ones, but I know. Did you like the ones from football this year? Is that where do you stand on the manga insert?
I mean, they were cool, but as far as like something that I wanted to rush out and buy, no.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought some of the design was pretty neat, but it's not something that I'm like, hey, you know what? I need to get me one of those in my homes or so on. So no, I mean that wasn't. I still like the Color Blast.
Yep.
Setups that come out of Prism.
Yep.
That's still one of my favorites. The Kabooms, that sort of thing. That come
Definitely.
out of Absolute and so on. So, the manga really wasn't a drive for me. But, I mean, they're super rare and they're super hard to get.
That's right. So I think overall the appeal of this World Cup Prism is those low-numbered veteran autos. Really, without the big chase rookie, it's going to be tough to prospect on a product, especially like World Cup, where it's so seasonal. They get one shot in the World Cup, and then they go back to their club teams, where if you're going to prospect on rookies in soccer, it feels like a safer investment to maybe pick up the club team jersey, since they play so much more with, year-round with that club, rather than just, seasonally once every 4 years with their national club. On the flip side of that, people were kind of going crazy in football prospecting this 2021 draft class when the season started. How big of a disaster has that turned out to be so far?
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. The Mac Jones investors are really, kicking themselves right now. I mean, his product. I mean, I saw some of his higher end stuff has dropped 81%. 81%.
That's tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, that hurts.
Yeah.
So when those products first came out, Mac Jones, Trevor Lawrence, those were the big names to chase.
I told you not to buy Trevor Lawrence.
You did. You did tell us not to buy Trevor Lawrence. And I also remember you saying that if there was one guy that you could hold off on buying for just a little bit, but you're going to start to pick up his stuff for the next season, that would be the quarterback for the Chicago Bears, Mr. Justin Fields, who in recent weeks has set the league on fire. 178 rushing yards and a couple scores a couple weeks ago.
And he's on my fantasy team.
He's on your fantasy team.
Yeah.
There you go. You've got him in fantasy. He has set himself apart in recent weeks as the quarterback of that draft class, in my opinion, to prospect. And where do you feel now that we're about halfway into the NFL season about Justin? How do you feel about Justin Fields and some of those other guys in the class?
I believe Justin Fields still, like I mentioned earlier, he is the one to invest in if you're going to prospect on those quarterbacks for 2021. And because going into next year, they have so much money to spend, and like we talked about the other day, so many draft picks to help add wide receivers or help around Justin Fields. So I believe Justin Fields next year is going to be a phenomenal talent. And there's actually a black finite that's on PWCC's premier auction that ends tonight.
There you go.
101 that I've been eyeballing.
All right. Well,
So,
good luck to you in the auction. Hopefully
Yeah.
we can make that a centerpiece on our next podcast. Maybe that'd be pretty fun.
Yeah.
That's a nice card. But yeah, he has looked terrific. Where do you stand on Zach Wilson?
I'm not a Zach. So I'm all about organizations.
Yep.
And, where Mac Jones' value is down right now, if the organization sticks with him and continues to mold him, he's in such a good organization with Bill Belichick and that group that he will have value in the hobby. Trevor Lawrence, the Jacksonville Jaguars organization, is probably one of the worst organizations. It's probably right there with the Jets.
Yep.
On organizations. The Jets have gotten lucky and won some games here,
Right.
And I think their record is kind of
Misleading a little bit.
100%. I don't invest in whenever I look at players, I look at the organizations, and I will not touch players from the Jets, the Browns, the Jaguars, those types of organizations, just because historically, I'm a numbers guy. Numbers don't lie.
Right.
And historically, if you go through and look at things, name me one
Hall of
Famer
Yep.
that come from the Jets. I can only name one, quarterback-wise.
Right. Joe Namath.
Joe Namath.
Right.
Name me one from the Browns.
Bernie Kosar, maybe. Yeah, maybe.
The Jaguars.
No way. Maurice Jones-Drew.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, when you start going through that, that's what I look at whenever I'm talking about investing. I look at statistics over the years, and people get so hyped up over these players because they're phenomenal in college, and then they're drafted high coming in the NFL. When if you go back and look at draft classes over the last year, look at how many top 10 draft choices are still in the league or still, players that you're like, oh, I want to buy that guy.
Not many.
Not many at all.
Right.
I mean, so
that's why it's so hit and miss.
I dig back through that and look through that stuff. I do not go with FOMO, and I do not go with what the rest of the population's doing. It's just like Justin Herbert.
Right.
I think he's a terrible investment too. And everybody was so high on him a year ago, and they're buying up all these Justin Herbert cards. Yes, he throws the ball well, but he is not. He is in an organization that's not going to set him up for success. He's going to have some wins. They make the playoffs every now and then. He's not winning a Super Bowl. He's not in that setup. Look at Joe Burrow.
Yep.
I'm a big LSU guy. People are still loading up on Joe Burrow because he made it to the Super Bowl, which was a fluke, by the way. They should have never gotten past the Chiefs. Patrick forgot how to play football in the second half, which is very uncharacteristic of
Mr.
Patrick.
Mahomes, that's right.
Yes. And so for them to get to the Super Bowl, but then got destroyed by the Rams, who are horrible this year.
That's right.
I'm just telling you, Joe Burrow blew his chance of ever winning a Super Bowl. That was his one ticket. He's not going back.
The Bengals don't have it. They can't put
they're
it
not.
around him.
No. And so I'm all about statistics, and I do not follow this FOMO that happens with with
the
people
guys like
and the hype.
Wilson and, yep.
Yeah. The best way to navigate through this hobby, if you're going to do investing, is to start looking elsewhere other than the ones that everybody's after.
Right.
If you're doing it for an investment, and they're not all going to pan out.
Right.
They're not. You're gonna pick some that are gonna fluke on you and not do well. Now my boy Jacob Eason is now a San Francisco 49er. He got signed by the 49ers yesterday.
That's right. I was gonna say, along those same lines, Eason and Trey Lance as well, another young quarterback in the 49ers who is out right now. But if it's a guy that you believe in, probably now is the time to buy his stuff, just because he's not playing, he's not on everyone's mind. And San Francisco is that organization. They are an organization that can put quarterbacks in position to win. So that's another one. Trey Lance from that 21 class, Eason from the 20 class the year prior.
I just wish somebody would give him an opportunity.
Well, hey, the 49ers,
I mean,
that was the right step, right? Like he's on a roster now. So moving in the right direction there. I want to talk a little bit. We mentioned it earlier. The PWCC auction ends tonight. The Fields Black Finite 101. They've got a bunch of other big time pieces.
There's some big cards in there.
Really big cards
that are really cheap.
Compared
to prices a year ago.
Agreed. I agree. And some cards that you may not have seen at auction in the last 18 months starting to hit the market again. Specifically,
Golden has a bunch too. Even on Golden's website, you can literally go to multiple auction houses right now, and the cards that you haven't seen in forever are surfaces. They're surfacing.
What specifically I want to talk about one and PWCC's auction, the Luka Doncic 1 of 1 logo man from National Treasures. Why sell right now is my question. Why do you sell that card right now?
The only logical thing that I could figure out why you put that thing up for sale right now is that you have somebody that's willing to buy it.
Sure.
You have a buyer. You have a set price. But then I'm like, well, why not do the private sale like you did before when you bought it, you know? Mm-hmm. And so there's a lot of controversy as to why that card is up, and I've seen it all over social media.
Right.
We're in a down market all the way across the board. And realistically, I don't care how rare the card is, it's still a down market.
100%.
And there's no way that card should reach the $4.6 million that was paid for it.
Correct.
And so I don't know if it's just like, I want to sell it, and move out of it, whatever I can get.
Right.
But to me, I don't like losing, money
at all.
And I damn sure don't want to lose no, $1 million+ dollars.
Right.
When it comes to, my investments. So beautiful card.
Great card.
It is the best modern basketball card that you could own.
Yep.
In my opinion. For, the future. Now, take in mind, he hasn't won an NBA championship.
Right.
He is a phenomenal talent. And then again, it's all in speculation for everybody. But really, me and you talked the other day, Luka's prices are already so high that on an investment side, can you really make
money on it?
Yeah, can you make money? Is it a good investment to buy his stuff? And, I kick that around all the time because I do like Luka. He's local.
Right. He's fun, yeah.
And so if I'm going to buy a Luka card, it's just because I like Luka.
Right.
I can't buy it for an investment purpose. Because to me, the price for his stuff is just way too high.
And that was kind of that same with Justin Herbert. It was just it's not that you don't like him. It's just there's nowhere to go.
Yeah, nowhere to go but down.
Right. Exactly.
Luka is past the what do you call it? Maybe like the honeymoon phase. They usually get that first 3 or 4 years.
Yep.
And if they haven't won a championship, now it's like, all right, wait a minute.
We got to get him some help or something. Yeah.
And so he's in his 5th season?
Yep.
And so if he doesn't win, if the Mavs don't win an NBA championship this year, my honest belief is you're going to see that card tumble in price, like completely fall to its bottom.
So I wonder if that has something to do with the, maybe the owner looks at the Mavs makeup right now and says, this is not the roster that is winning the this isn't Luka's year, right? He may win MVP. He's having a great start to the year. Certainly that's in consideration, but to look at the Mavericks right now and say that's a championship team, you're lying.
Luka was out of the game last night and they lost to the Rockets.
Correct. Right. And that's more, there's just not enough there. And so that's interesting to say, if I don't think he wins in his first 5 years and that honeymoon, phase is over, well, then it does make sense to maybe let it go now, on the precipice of that 5th year ending.
Yeah, because, that card could drop even further
Correct.
In price. And that's probably one of the reasons that they've sent it to auction to move it.
It's interesting.
Currently now, so.
Yeah, well, that is definitely one to keep an eye on. I know that between that and the Justin Fields, we'll have a couple 101s that we'll have our eyes on. Ending at auction this weekend, we will be at the Chicago Sports Spectacular, providing $10 RCRs all weekend long. That is, if you are in the Chicago area, make sure you stop out and see us.
Actually, aren't we running a special in Chicago?
We are running a special. Do you want to talk about that special?
We are running a special in Chicago. So in Chicago, come by and see us at our booth. We're going to do $8 RCRs. Bring us 100 cards or more and get them for $6 each.
That's what I'm talking about.
You can also do on-site SLABS submissions at the Chicago show for $12 a card.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
We did that at the Dallas show as well, something that we're bringing up to the Midwest this weekend. Make sure you stop by with a bunch of cards, guys. Again, bring us 100 or more, $6 a card. Cannot beat that. No. Send in your cards, guys. If you haven't already, make sure you are subscribed to the podcast, like all of our videos, leave us a comment, everything else. But that is it for us today. I am DCI Jason here with Big Sexy Bradley Crenshaw. We are out. Send in those cards, guys. Thank y'all.